I've been in a bit of a reading slump, and it's made me want to reread some of the books that I read last year. Compiled a list. First up on my list is the Bridgerton series. I actually read the Bridgerton series earlier last year after finishing Queen Charlotte and just feeling like I really missed that whole world. Reading those is actually what got me back into reading in general. There's a bit of nostalgia with reading those. I will say the TV series is way better than the books. While reading those, I was constantly reframing them to make them closer to the universe that the TV series makes. In fact, anytime I read historical romance, I end up reframing as I read to make it closer to the Netflix Bridgerton universe, because it's just so much better than what that time period would actually be like. I especially want to reread Colin and Penelope's book, Romancing Mr. Bridgerton, because ever since the trailer came out for the new season, I've been obsessed with watching every single Bridgerton edit on TikTok, and I am actually not one to get obsessed, to be a fan as much as I am of the Bridgerton series as a whole, but also especially Colin and Penelope in the TV series. If I remember correctly, I actually didn't love their book. I felt like it was a bit of a letdown. Maybe I'll do a reading vlog of rereading their book before the new season comes out, and I could go over what should be included in the new season from the books and what I think should be different. I also want to reread the Rokesbys series, which is the prequel to the Bridgerton series. I remember liking the characters a bit more than the characters in the Bridgerton books, so I definitely want to reread those ones. From there, I went on Goodreads to look through the books that I've read and decide on any other ones I wanted to add to my reread list. Somewhat surprisingly, I was drawn more towards a lot of the historical romance books that I read instead of the full-on romantasy series. I just think maybe I'm in the mood for shorter books instead of these really long epic series. One of the historical romances being The Devil in Winter by Lisa Kleypas. This is from her Wallflowers series, which is about these girls that are wallflowers. Each book focuses on each of them falling in love. This one in particular is about my favorite wallflower from the group. I think I was initially drawn to her because she reminded me a lot of Penelope Featherington. I think she's also a redhead, if I remember correctly. She goes for this guy who is actually a total man whore, while she is shy and has a stutter. Bad family that she's trying to get away from. And in the previous book, the guy does some pretty shitty things, but I do end up forgiving him as the story plays out. I remember really liking each of them as characters, really liking their romance. So I think it'd be a fun one to reread. Another one from Lisa Kleypas, Love in the Afternoon. One plot device that I realized I really, really liked while reading all of these historical romances last year. Maybe it's a trope, but I think it's more a plot device. Characters falling in love through letters. Divine Rivals would be a good example of this as well. I know Julia Quinn had there's one in the Bridgerton series and in the Rokesbys where they fall in love through letters. The reason I really, really like Love in the Afternoon, you actually read their full letters instead of just little excerpts and see their love unfold through the letters first. I just remember giggling and kicking my feet reading all of the letters in this book. Actually kind of an unlikely duo. Looking back, I think why I like the idea of characters falling in love through letter writing is because my husband and I actually did 10 months of long distance while we were dating, so it reminds me of my own romance. When someone asks me for my historical romance recommendations, this is one that always pops in my mind because it was so cute. And another one I think of and end up recommending a lot, Perils of Pleasure by Julie Ann Long. I wish it was named something else. This is the first in a whole series about a character called Colin Eversey who's set to hang for crimes that he didn't commit. Before that happens, he gets kidnapped by a mercenary named Madeline. Really liked each of them separately as well as together. Their dynamic is really cute. I really liked Madeline. She's just so self-possessed and has lived a whole life before ever meeting this guy. They go on this whole kooky adventure, and it just has all the elements that I look for in a good historical romance. I have a few romantasy books I see myself rereading probably later this year because I actually read all of these at the beginning of this year. So the Villains and Virtues series, I don't know if it was the timing in my life or what. I just feel like this series is so good. It doesn't take itself too seriously. These characters are really, really witty, and these books are fast-paced enough. I didn't end up skimming when I was reading these. They're the perfect length of books too. And then the last one, which I actually read just last month, Powerless. I think I may have gone into skim mode when I read this because there's a lot of things I feel like I'm forgetting. I'm sure I will want to reread it before the second book comes out this summer. That completes my list of books I want to reread. I think this means I need to start my Romancing Mr. Bridgerton read right now. If you have any book recommendations, please do let me know, and love you. Bye.